Yes, yes, yes. What is up? What is up, Mixed Combat Radio family? It's another weekly edition of the show. We're back. I'm joined by the lovely Melody Joy from the Beauty of Boxing and the lovely Gary from 3D Boxing Blog and Texas Boxing Scene. It's a good one today. Canelo Alvarez review show. He didn't look like shit this time, too. So I can really go full fanboy out. I'm excited for that one. You know, is he the king of boxing again, guys? Is he better than Inoue? Right there? Is he better than that guy?
Nobody's arguing that.
I mean, maybe some people are.
Right now, Twitter is arguing, or X is arguing.
Let's not say that.
X is arguing over Gervonta Davis versus Canelo as a face of boxing. So let's get into that.
Ooh,
That's exciting.
I like that one. That's a good argument. I know Gary
know.
probably has hot takes about that. Saying that, Gervonta Davis isn't a megastar. Anyways, a lot to get to today. So there are some fights this weekend, too. We'll touch on those. It's not a ton of big fights, but there's like 4 or 5 fight cards actually this weekend. So dive into that one as well after we get into Canelo and Charlo. Undisputed versus undisputed. It's like bunch of the show, all that fun stuff. Melody, you were wrong about one thing though.
I was terribly wrong about that. That's it.
We were both horribly wrong about Ugas. And Gary, oh my God, I forgot about that. Gary's gonna eat us up about Mario Barrios.
What was I wrong about?
Review bias.
Oh, I have no idea what those numbers. I just threw. You guys put me on the spot last time and was like throwing numbers. I don't even know what those numbers mean, or like I get kind of what they are, but like, guys, I have no idea. Don't listen to me ever about pay-per-view numbers.
How was your weekend though? Did you enjoy the fight?
Oh my God, love. I mean, the card was kind of shitty. Ramos's got robbed. Ugas lost, and Charlo went down in fashion. So it was a good weekend. I was psyched about it. Wasn't too great of a pay-per-view, but
we'll get into it.
Yeah,
we'll get into it.
Gary
in Dallas, how was your weekend?
It was good. The Texas Longhorns won again, 5-0 for the first time since 2009 when they went to the national championship game. So it was good. It was a good week. This week we got Oklahoma Red River Shootout. Who you got, Matt? Number 3 Oklahoma or number 19? I'm number 3 Texas or number 19 Oklahoma. Who you got?
I mean, I hate both those states, so it's one of those.
I was born in Texas. Don't hate on Texas.
You
can't.
You can hate on Oklahoma all you want. I'll join you.
Are they called Okies out there? Or
that's like colloquially, yeah. That's a nickname, yeah.
Okay.
It's not a slur.
It's not a slur.
Okies.
And even if you are, they're Okies. Who cares? Do you know the toothbrush was invented in Oklahoma? That's why it's called the toothbrush and not the teeth brush.
That's a good one, Gary. That's a good dad joke. That was a good one. That's a good one. I like
the inner South hate is fascinating to me.
They're not the South. Anything above the Red River is a Yankee.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Digressing, Gary. Canelo, Charlo. I mean, obviously he dominated Charlo.
Meow. We're not Lions only anymore. No. Meow.
Integrated that Lions den quickly.
I'm going to defend Charlo here. I feel like.
Don't, Matt. Don't defend Charlo. It's indefensible what he did. He had a chance for greatness. Him and his brother have been calling Canelo out like 10 years since they were, on Golden Boy cards fighting at 6:00 in the afternoon. They've been calling out Canelo, and this is what you do when you get the chance. Don't defend him, Matt. Don't.
Here's the reality. No. I'm not defending in a sense like his performance because it was a shitty performance, but I think we're like putting that way too much on the Charlo not showing up side instead of it being like he was just levels below Canelo. I remember I was talking to Gary about like when Big Charlo even had that run of really bad performances, and we were saying like, dude, Canelo would eat up this version of Charlo bad. And I mean, he fought a version of Charlo that was 2 weight classes below him that looked like it too. I mean, there was a noticeable size difference.
I didn't see it like that. Like, I really didn't. Like, it didn't look like Kell Brook versus. It didn't look like Rigondeaux versus Loma. It didn't look like Mikey versus Spence. It didn't look like Cal Brook versus Triple G. It didn't look like a mismatch in the ring to me. The size didn't. Look, I'm gonna say Charlo didn't look great. It didn't look like it looked like I'm just not gonna cut weight. Like he didn't look like he bulked up or anything. He didn't look great on the scale. He didn't look great in the ring. But that's all on Charlo. Like there's a meme, right? And it's him after the Harrison loss, and he's like this, and it says Charlo after a loss for $750,000, right? And it's like the Canelo loss. He's got a big smile on his face. Lost after Canelo for $15 million. Like he took the payday, man. Like I'm not blaming him for taking the payday. Fine, whatever. But that's the effort that you give.
I think that's the only effort, if that makes sense. Because I don't think any version of that Charlo does any better. He's not going to put on 14 pounds of muscle in 2 months
and know how to use it.
That's just not that's not humanly possible unless he's using steroids. Like it's just not happening.
Then 14 pounds of muscle. If you lift every single day, that might take 2 years for a grown man.
Yeah, I mean, so the idea of him like being able to put on 14 pounds of mass to face Canelo, a guy that's been fighting at 168 and 175 as of lately, I think is very. I
People
think
forget what Mikey Garcia looked like. Has he gained weight?
And I think this too. There was a height difference in those two examples you brought up, Rigo and Loma and Mikey and Spence. There was a noticeable height difference between the bigger weighted guy and the smaller weighted fighter. There was no height difference. There's actually in the opposite way.
But
Charles tall.
Difference with Canelo and Cove.
Of course.
Wasn't that a height difference? That was
Canelo,
noticeable?
Yes, it was.
That didn't work in their favor either.
But Canelo, I would say he looked bigger in mass. Like he looked like a tank in there. While Charlo looked like you said, Gary, didn't even cut weight. He had no muscle definition. And I think, honestly speaking, whether it's big Charlo or small Charlo, they're levels below a guy like Canelo.
Unfortunately, yes.
Like Brian Castano, good win. Tony Harrison, good win. But those are the career best wins of Jermell Charlo. And, I mean, we've seen Brian Castano in the gym. No offense to Castano. Love you, guy. You're an amazing, friendly guy. But
like, he's not Canelo. I get it.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, drastically different opponent. So I see what you're saying.
It's a Pontiac compared to a Cadillac. I get it. You know, like Castano, I get it. I get it. And Castano gave him hell twice. I thought beat him once, right? I get it. That being said, the blueprint is not to back up. The blueprint is you got to look. Charlo is a master boxer puncher. It's what he is. And he tried to fight like Billy Joe Saunders. It's like, even when he had some success, when he landed a couple of right hands, he never followed up. He never went for it. Like, look, if he would have put his balls on the table, stepped up, stand in the pocket, and tried to fight him in arm's reach, right? He probably would have gotten knocked out. But at least he would have given himself a chance to win the fight. When you do what you did, he probably would have got knocked out, right? But when Peter McNeely fought Mike Tyson, did Peter McNeely run from him or did Peter McNeely go right into the fire? Like, I mean, what are you going to do? You can't run from Canelo. And look, I'm not comparing Jermell Charlo to Peter McNeely. Jermell Charlo was on most people's pound for pound list and probably like 5, 6, 7, right? Like, so this is not a B-level guy. It's not a C-level guy. This is a guy who won all the belts in a very competitive weight class. This is a top-notch fighter. Is he as good as Canelo? Clearly not. But you got to give yourself the best chance to win. You're never going to get the opportunity like this again. I understand he got $15 million. I get it. But like, you're going to get $15 million regardless. Why not give yourself, again, there's a famous scene from a Bruce Lee movie, right? Where Bruce Lee, is trapped, right? They got him trapped. 2 sliding doors come down, one on both sides. Bang, bang, right? He can't get out. He doesn't kick. He doesn't scream. He sits down. It's like, whatever you're going to do to me, you're going to do to me, right? I'm not going to waste energy. I'm not going to panic. I'm going to sit here and this is the best move right now. The best move for Charlo, and it's not a good move, but it's his only move, is to stand there and try to fight like Bevolden. Try to fight him in the middle of the ring, and late in the fight, try to get him to go backwards. If you can get him to go backwards, you've made him uncomfortable. If you let him come forward, he's eventually going to steamroll you. Caleb Smith found that out. Caleb Plant found that out. Billy Joe Saunders found that out. They all, like, you can't run from him for 12 rounds. If he would have stood in, would he probably got knocked out? Yeah, probably. But that's your only chance to win.
I don't know if you want to jump in, Melody, but I disagree with what Gary's saying.
I don't. I just have one more comment. I just was gonna say, like, didn't you see improvement in Canelo cutting off the ring in this fight versus?
Yeah, I did. Good point. That's a really good point.
Right?
No. Yeah.
It was an improvement, right? So it's like
really good. He looked like Triple G for Cheltenham there. He was cutting the ring off
right.
like
He
champ.
was just chasing his ass and not running. And Charlo looked like Floyd Mayweather, like on a bike, you know,
But
like,
not being Floyd Mayweather.
but not, yeah, exactly, not having the power, not having the able to connect well.
I think Charlo, power wise, was never going to hurt Canelo. So I think the idea of him standing in the pocket and trying to land something big or a big combination is just not going to work. I think his best chance was to be on the back foot and to counter box, but he didn't do that. That was his biggest issue. Like him on the back foot. How many times were we looking at the fight and being like, Charlo, like,
what are you doing?
Throw a jab, like throw something here.
Back foot fighters can't do. Caleb Plant and Billy Joe couldn't fight him like that, right? And that's their natural style. Jermell Charlo is a natural boxer puncher. His instincts is to stand and try to come forward, right?
But Gary,
if the boxer punchers can do it, you can't do it.
It's a 14-pound difference. When you talk about Bivol, he's a guy that's cutting weight to get to 175. Fucking Jermell Charlo was eating donuts and McDonald's trying to get to 168. Yeah. Like, it's just a totally different ball game when you're talking about that type of mass you can put behind a punch. Canelo's not used to facing guys at 175. He fought Kovalev, who was older, and who he struggled with. Like, there was rounds where I thought Canelo was losing.
Well, and he did lose rounds.
He did. I think the judges were really off when they had Canelo up on all the scorecards at the end of the fight. I thought that was wrong. I thought Canelo was potentially behind in that fight and got the knockout. Bivol,
against Cove.
Against Cove, yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought he was behind too.
Yeah.
And against Bivol, I mean, again, we're talking about a guy that's in his prime, a really good boxer puncher, like you said. But he also has really good boxing IQ. He can box on the back foot, which Charlo can too. I don't think Charlo's just a boxer puncher. I think you do him a disservice in that. He's just a guy that is 14 pounds lighter. I mean, honestly, Gary, I should have been more critical of this fight beforehand. Because this goes back to my theory that every time we have these types of fights, they don't work. Like 99 out of 100 times we have a guy moving up 2 weight classes for a fight.
Yeah, it's not.
It's just not going to work against a pound
unless
for pound.
They're all-time great. Hopkins did it. Roy Jones did it. I mean, unless they're all
and they're like beyond greats.
But they were beyond greats doing it against subpar competition. I would say
not greats against greats.
These are guys that are trying to be great doing it against a guy that is great is in his prime. Like Canelo's 32, 33 years old. I think everyone is forgetting how good Canelo Alvarez is. Okay, after Inoue and after Canelo just not looking as motivated in the last couple of fights, people were like, Canelo's aging. I said it, but
it's still Bivol kind of shattered our dreams a little bit.
But the reality is, it's still Canelo fucking Alvarez,
right?
I mean, he's still number 1, number 2 best in the world, arguably the face of boxing. Like, that's just undisputable. Jermell Charlo was never close to that legacy, unfortunately. Yeah. And the reality is, nobody is. There's only one guy that is potentially a technical threat to Canelo Alvarez. I've been saying since day one, I will keep saying it. It's Big Daddy David Benavidez, okay? That guy's looking 200 pounds, chubby right now,
solid
training for Andrade, baby. Okay? But that guy is a threat to Canelo Alvarez. Why? Because he's 200 pounds right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different ball game when talking about that size.
The power he has, and then he's 200 pounds.
Because, again, people forget Canelo. I know you don't forget, Gary, but people forget that Canelo's a guy that started at 147, technically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he went to 154 pretty fast in his career. Was there for a long time. 160, 168, 175. Like, he's gone up significantly in weight. And he's 5'8". Like, he's smaller than me in terms of height.
Mm-hmm. That's my point about Canelo. He's bulked up to 168. His best weight class is 154, right? He's a 154 pounder who ate too much tainted meat, okay? Jermell Charlo is a 154 pounder who looks like a 160 pounder. I don't think there's that much different in size. And the other thing I would say about Charlo, when Floyd Mayweather fought Oscar and when he fought Canelo, he came in 150, 151. So he found a weight that works for him instead of just trying to come in at the limit, right? that should have been what Charlo. Like if Charlo would have came in at 163, that probably would have been a better fit for him.
I think you really underestimate how bulky Canelo is. Like I knew guys growing up, and I bet you knew this in playing sports growing up, right? That were like 5'8", but they're a $180, a $195 muscle, right? And they don't look that big either. They don't look like they're like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they're actually a 185 pounds on the scale. You know what I mean? Like some people just carry weight differently. Canelo Alvarez has to cut weight to get to 168. He's not just eating and not cutting weight and going up to the scale at 168. He has to cut weight to get there.
He's in that sweatsuit.
I mean, and we see it.
Week up.
Like Canelo is walking around close to, and I wouldn't be surprised, 190, 200 pounds. I would not be surprised. He is that old.
190, I would say, probably is fair. Yeah.
So I don't think Jermell Charlo is doing that. There's no way he's coming down from 190 all the way to 154. It's not.
Unless he's Keith Thurman after a year layoff.
Like, it's just not possible. So, like, yes, in terms of like height and everything, they didn't look that different in size. But if you go back and watch the fight, Gary, Canelo is significantly bigger. His legs, his back, every muscle in him is big, and it's just different. And again, the levels are different. But I want to get a little bit to the face of boxing argument, if that's okay. Because I mean, it wasn't like it was that close to a fight. Jermell Charlo didn't put up that much. I thought he lost pretty much every round.
Meow.
You've said people are talking about Tank and Canelo, which one's the face of boxing?
Yes.
Numbers came out from Dan Rayfield that the pay-per-view did around 650,000 to 700,000 buys. Me and Gary are right. I was more right than Gary, but it's okay.
I guess so, but you went over. So for the price is right, I win, right? I said 600.
That's international law. I can't deny that. That's true. Damn it. Gary wins this one. Anyways, I think this is a fascinating argument. I do feel like Tank is close. I'm not going to say outright that he is the face of boxing over Canelo Alvarez right now. But his numbers are almost undeniable right now in terms of that number with Ryan Garcia. And it's just his past, too. Like, he's always done really big numbers on Showtime, always done really good at the gate. Like, he's traditionally been a big draw for boxing, especially for his weight size. I think we're at a point when the next maybe 3 years or so, if Tank can stay clear of trouble and keep getting big fights, he's going to be the face of boxing. I don't see him losing. Yeah. That's the hard part. I think if he's put up against all the guys we talk about as the best guys, like 135 and 140, and maybe even a little bit 147, Tank beats a lot of them, if not all of them. Like
it's kind of small for 147.
We're going to talk about with Barrios in a second, but that win over Barrios is looking better and better in hindsight. And it makes me rethink Tank growing into a 147 size body. I know he's going to look chunky, but
I've seen him chunky.
But I think Tank has that lifetime generational power, Like we talk about Deontay Wilder having that power. Like if Deontay Wilder was a better athlete and boxer, like he would be smoking all these guys. He's not that. Tank is that. Tank is a superb boxer, superb athlete, great IQ. Like I see only maybe one guy give him issues, and I still maybe pick Tank over him, and it pains me to say, and that's Shakur. Everyone else, I think Tank beats, whether it's Devin Haney, Prograis, Loma, who else we're going to talk about? I mean, Tio, like, I think Tank beats them all.
Yes.
Gary, thoughts?
I agree with that, right? Like, the only one I think may be able to beat him is Shakur, because Shakur is such a master. Tio's an interesting one. Tio might knock him out, right? Because Tio's explosive. I would pick Tank, but I could see that if they fought 10 times, maybe 3 times Tio knocks him out, right? Because Tank is not Canelo. He gets hit trying to come in. Like, you can put hands on him. Tio's explosive, too. He can strike quickly. But I would still pick Tank in that. The only one that would be really interesting, the ultimate bull versus Matador, would be Shakur Stevenson. I would pick Tank. But I mean, it's hard to pick against Shakur Stevenson. Like, he's a master in there. Um,
The date of program and Haney, didn't we?
Yeah, we talked about that. Me and Gary. Were you on that show?
Oh,
Yeah,
you
you were
and
on.
Gary.
You were on that show too, didn't we?
Oh
Yeah, we talked about that last time. Yeah,
Old
the
news.
pay per view. Remember, Gary was mad about it being pay per view.
Oh
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
But Gary, face
Um,
boxing, Tank Canelo, like is
I would say it's Canelo, right? Like, but that doesn't mean you're the best fighter in the sport. LeBron James is still the face of basketball. He's not a top 20 player anymore, right? Like, that doesn't mean you're the best. You're just the most recognizable, probably because in the past you were the best, right? Um,
You can still cheat.
the most recognizable, who's the face of boxing? It's Canelo Alvarez. If you went to a mall and there's 100 old ladies in the mall, and you showed them a picture of Canelo and a picture of Tank Davis, who's more of them going to recognize? Canelo, right? So it's. I don't mean that to throw shade at Tank Davis, but Canelo's the most recognizable name in boxing.
Well, depending on what mall you go to, like, what if you went to like Atlanta, bitch, like Baltimore? I don't know, Gary.
Outside of being in
What kind of
Baltimore,
malls you go to, Gary? But
I think it's close.
It'd be like, who is that redheaded man?
I think we're getting to a point where it is like a Mayweather Pacquiao, like 1A, 1B conversation.
Is extremely big, obviously. And what was I gonna say? Like it,
The whole culture
influences a lot of people, a lot of teens, a lot of young people, a lot of people, with ethnicities. Like it's culturally, hip hop is big. So the fact that like Tank Davis has like that whole culture behind him, it makes him easy second place.
Yeah, I mean the black community in boxing has been one of
the second biggest
market demographic in the sport. Like it's them in Mexico. Like and if you want to lump all of Latin America together, like it's Latin America.
Well, then it's not even close then, but yeah.
That's the conversation, you know?
Yeah.
At least in the US, right? Because like in LA, not every Latino fighter is Mexican. There's a lot of Nicaraguans, a lot of Salvadorians,
tons of ethnicities.
And I mean, if you're just a gringo walking in, you're not going to know the difference per se unless you ask, right? So that's why I say like in the US, Latin American culture and then the Black American culture, like those two are the biggest supporters of boxing. So it's obvious that of course we're going to have two representatives of that community be the faces of the sport.
Yeah.
I think Tank is like, I don't know what it is. I think Tank is like within a year of actually surpassing Canelo. I feel it. Like
I think we need a couple more fights in for him to stay out of trouble, and I think he's okay.
The way he's going to get co-signed by certain, like you said, the influencer community. Like we just saw, I know Gary may not care about this, but like Offset going on Kai Sent's Twitch stream, right?
Yes.
And that like breaking the internet, right? Like tell me you don't see Tank being able to go on something like Kai's stream.
Oh my god, yes.
And exploding for a younger audience.
That he makes with like Broner back in the day, and he's so hilarious. I know Tank's funny. Like
Tank is funny.
He's got a personality. He's just, it's hard when these guys don't have a PR team behind them that's like helping them, versing them along, getting them where they need to be until they're comfortable in front of camera crews and they're comfortable in front of people and talking. Because once they start stuttering, then there's a million people talking shit that they can't speak, or they're not smart, or they don't know how to read.
Well, yeah, that's just the internet stuff.
Too. So like, I think if he would have had a little bit more help in that situations, he would be better along. But like, he's a funny guy. Like he is constantly saying jokes and like with his clapbacks on Twitter. Like he's funny. So I know he would be good at those things once he got comfortable. I think he just needs to be exposed to a little bit more. But I mean, I don't know how he's gonna surpass an Eminem walkout. You know what I mean?
Stop.
Like, well, who's he gonna get?
Dude, that's really
Offset.
Really? When Santa Fe?
Well, I mean, Canelo was obviously. I'm talking about like hip hop. Like Santa Fe Clan is a hip hop. They're Mexican. I'm talking about like for
Corridos are like almost like hip hop though.
Corridos, no.
It's almost.
No,
it's like
no.
trap Mexican music.
I'm talking about for Gervonta. He ain't gonna come with some Mexican trap music. Like, what are you talking about?
He's come out with like Lil Baby, who's massive too. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. Yeah,
Tank
well, he's
is
come out
huge.
with, like, that's what I was saying. He has a big pool because if you see the people he's surrounded with, who he comes out with, who has him in videos and whatnot,
He
like,
still has the highest pay-per-view numbers of the year, right?
does he?
Yeah, because he fought with Ryan Garcia, and when Ryan Garcia equals numbers, when Tank does a pay-per-view by himself, it does 150,000. When he does
What
it with
pay-per-views
Ryan.
has Ryan Garcia done?
What about?
Let me. I got it.
Go.
What pay-per-views has Ryan done?
Well, Ryan fights on DAZN, so DAZN is the end of the pay-per-view model, so it's not a fair question.
And Gary, remind me.
He's only done one, obviously, with Tank. It did use number.
Let's remember. Remind me, Gary. Ryan's next fight. Where's that at, and who's his opponent?
It's in San Antonio, and I think he's fighting his grandmother. I think it's his grandmother. Yeah, no, it's Durante. He might lose that fight. Actually, Durante is so under the radar good. He may lose that fight. And he's smaller, right? He's a 135 pounder, right? Who's fighting at 140 now?
Yes.
Ryan might lose. He'll probably win. But Durante, because he's got a bunch of losses. Like he probably lost in Mexico a bunch early in his career. He's got a bunch of losses. But that guy's, it was like when Warrington fought Bronco Lara. I'm like, Warrington might lose. You go watch this guy on YouTube. He's real good. Oscar Durante, this is not a great fight for Ryan. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Is it? Do you think it's going to do massive numbers?
It'll draw. It'll sell tickets. Like people will come to the venue, but I don't.
DAZN subscribers, nothing.
No. I went to Ryan when he fought San Antonio. When he fought Corte, whatever his name was.
You think a guy that was such a star that he could sell 1.5 million pay-per-view buys by himself? It sounds like would be able to draw at least DAZN subscribers. You know, it's just or like a better opponent. You know, anything really. You know,
don't talk down on Duarte, okay? I know him personally. He's my friend since a long time. I've known him in camp with Joel Diaz for many years. And Duarte had to go to Mexico to start fighting because he was losing here in the US. Okay, he was losing and badly. And not only that, like I know him. Okay, my ex fought him, and it was a lot of issues. Okay, he's not somebody that Ryan should be fighting. There's no need for him and Ryan to be in the ring. And I said this like 2 weeks ago. Somebody posted that this is the potential fight, and I was like, "Oh hell no, they better not."
Do you remember
give
the
this
location though? They said originally
that it was gonna be in Indio. Yeah, when somebody told me, and I was like, they fucking would give this to it. They gave us Bill Zepeda. Dude. Now this is what I'm not going to be mad at DAZN because they are giving us Marv Nation here in the Valley. Not the Valley, here in LA. And where's the Thunder Shoot? Oh, Long Beach.
Yeah, Long Beach.
Long Beach. We got one of the promoters out here got a contract with DAZN, so our next fights that we'll be at will be on DAZN in November with Armando Vargas.
I thought that one was in Costa Rica.
No.
Oh yeah, Armando Vargas and
the Vargas brothers, they're fighting on Thunder
They fought here in the Valley like 2 months ago.
Yes. Yeah, they fought in Texas last. So I think it was no, I don't think it was a Marv Nation. No.
It was Marv Nation with another.
One. Yeah. This one too is going to be a co-promotion, I believe. I haven't talked to Marvin, the promoter, yet, but I'm sure he gave us good front row tickets last fight. So this next one that's going to be on DAZN. It's a small arena. It's a tiny little studio that they'll be at, but it's cool that local fights are getting on DAZN.
Yeah, Jamel Herring is fighting on a Wednesday night or Tuesday night in New York City. Jamel Herring, he's coming back
on Broadway box.
I guess, but it's on DAZN. I think it's that Broadway series that they used to have. I didn't know I thought they stopped that after COVID. I didn't know they still had it, but yeah, he's fighting at I forget the name of it's this elegant. It's the Broadway boxing thing, yeah. And Jamel Herring, it's going to air on DAZN, so I might go to it.
Is this his comeback? Like comeback from retirement?
His last fight was so bad, and he was basically in tears because he knew it was over, and now he's going to try to come back. It's like
no, he shouldn't, but.
He's such a good dude. Have you ever met him? Like he's such a good guy. Like he's such a good dude.
Oh, he talks
It's like
about me
you
all
want to like, God,
dude.
do you really want to do this?
Yeah.
No, you know what it
does.
is?
He
It's
should.
that all fighters like probably like except for like the top, like they're not making money doing this.
Yeah,
It's
and I mean commentating's not gonna pay you.
no, especially when I know as I've been a commentator before. Sometimes the promoters try to like chip you on the money and like not want to like pay you. So like
Yeah.
it happens. It happens. You know, I
That's
bet
the
Top Rank
that's
didn't pay
one
him.
of, that's one of, hey.
Allegedly, it's a joke. It was a joke.
Allegedly.
Top Rank,
Allegedly.
Bob. It's
Bob
a joke.
don't.
It's a joke.
He just needs. He has a lot of kids. I'm sure, doesn't he?
I'm
sure, and he has a
I don't
beautiful.
think he has a lot. I mean, 4. I think. I don't think he has like Antonio Cromartie. I don't think
That's a
he's
lot.
got
4. Gary, I have 2, and I'm struggling. Okay.
Whoa,
I got 3, and I want
get
a
a
4th.
One's a grown adult. Okay.
They don't count.
She doesn't count anymore.
They're going to.
She's 23. Girl doesn't count anymore. Okay. I got 2 kids, and I'm struggling.
I don't know what I was arguing with Gary about, but I know that he was wrong. I just want to reiterate that.
Okay.
If the listeners,
I don't know if I can believe that.
or watchers, you know, obviously tomorrow when this airs, you know, I was right, Gary's wrong. I don't know what we're arguing about, but digressing because we're talking about the zone here.
Well, yeah. Well, let's talk about Ugas Barrios.
Oh, I forgot about the undercard. Yes,
Gary was so
yes.
right, and we were
Yes.
so wrong. What happened, Ugas? Are we getting old, looking shot? And I meant shot, Gary. I didn't mean shit in that tweet. Okay.
He looked both, right? He looked both.
Poor guy. We didn't get paragraphs out of Ugas this time, though. We got an apology. Love him to
There's
death.
no reason to apologize. You're 37 years old. You had a good career, former world champion. There's something to apologize for.
And you got a gift and beat Manny Pacquiao. I mean,
dude, honestly, in hindsight,
what an amazing, an accomplishment. And then getting moved up, right? Didn't he get moved up to like the main champ because somebody bounced? Like, dude, but he can't go back to Cuba. I guess he's just got to stay here, live it out.
he can if he just stops talking shit about Cuba.
He can't. He's got a vendetta.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard. The funny thing is that like in hindsight, like Ugas is gonna probably be hyped more than he was.
He's
like
going to be
relative to like his like status, you know, because that Pacquiao win.
Yeah.
Like
20
years from now, like people are gonna forget that Pacquiao was older. You know what I mean, Gary? Like Ugas seemed like, oh man, he was the dark horse of that era, man. If only he was 22 and he started in his pros, which is kind of true for all the Cuban fighters. But digressing, yeah, Barrios looked good. I mean, honestly speaking,
he looked big.
This was the best he's looked in terms of actual like putting punches together, technical skill. But like you said, he looked bigger. He really looked like he's grown into his body more. That's something that Gary I know mentioned that he's getting into his man strength. I think we're at that era now. Barrios is really peaking. I don't know how far he goes because 147 is a little bit weird right now. And those top 3 guys are really tough. Top 4 guys or so. But I don't know where Barrios goes next. I mean, Gary, what do you think? I mean, you're the Barrios whisperer. Like, what do you think?
He never really has any answers either. He's just kind of like, whatever. Like, I'll fight him, whatever. He's gonna fight Cody Crowley next, I would think, right? Because he's the interim champ. That belt's gonna get vacated because Crawford's going to 154, so that belt's gonna become vacant. And he's gonna fight Cody Crowley, which is a good fight. We can debate that. Not that it's a high, but it's a good scrap in the ring. It's good action. And then the winner's going to be a world champion. You're going to have all the belts vacant. So I think, there's a chance. Cody Crowley's the one that you'd want him to fight. Like, if you get a belt,
I
love how
make an argument on this guy.
I feel like every time Gary says his full name, it becomes funnier each time.
Cody Crowley.
Cody Crowley. It's like,
Cody Crowley.
He's
on a tractor right now.
I mean,
Cody Crowley.
Cody Crowley is like Ryan Carl. Remember that guy?
Yes, Cowboy.
That's my boy, Ryan Carl.
Like
Cowboy
no
Carl.
disrespect to those guys. They're good scrappers, right? Like they
get down.
They're good undercard, a little fodder. Like, don't get me wrong there, but like Barrios just beat Ugas, man. Like
roughly,
like dominated him. Like that would be such a big backstep. I would feel bummed. I'm not even a Barrios fan. Like,
Yeah, it just wouldn't be something I would watch.
Like-
because he's gonna win. It doesn't seem like it's something interesting.
the Thurman fight makes way more sense.
He already fought Thurman. How did that go for him? I love Barrios, but like, let's be reasonable. You know what I'm saying?
old.
Like,
So Boots.
come on. Like, Boots is a killer. I'm just hoping he outgrows the division.
Are you saying Spence off the loss?
I think there's a better chance he beats Spence. I would love that fight. We could do it in San Antonio. We can do it in Dallas. Doesn't matter. I would love that fight, but Spence is going 54, right? So, like,
Gary's hyped for that one. He got hyped for that. You can tell, man.
He's like, Dallas, I don't care.
Dude,
Yeah.
honestly, if Barrios is offered that fight at 154, he should take it.
Hell
Just
yeah.
saying. Just saying.
Yes, he should.
Especially
it's
after, like,
worth the money. It's big money.
Well, plus it's just a name too.
But where are they gonna
And
fight?
I think he's still flawed though, right? Like, he still gets hit a lot, and you don't want to get hit a lot if you're fighting Spence.
So
If you said Thurman, Boots, or Spence, you have to pick one. I would pick Spence.
That's a good money fight.
I'm looking at welterweights right now because like everyone's moving around weight classes.
Yeah, so you got a lot of people moving.
It's pissing me off that they're growing.
Dude, hold on. Box rec. Cody Crowley ranked number 5 at 147.
47 is weird now. Yeah, you got names moving about. Verge is out. Keith is out for inactivity, right?
Low key, the division sucks right now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Number 13.
Wow, dude. I'll be honest, guys, and I know like the people that have listened for a long time hate when I've always bigged up this era, but like I miss like the Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Earl Spence days.
Good.
That was a fun era at 147. It
So
really was in
fun.
hindsight, but
Broner,
digressing.
Malignaggi.
Oh my God,
my
dude.
God.
But-
love. Good
What's
time.
Alexis Rocha doing right now? Does he have a fight lined up?
Yes, remember?
He's got something. Yeah, he's got a fight lined up. He's fighting.
And he's fighting Giovanni.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Giovanni Santillan. Yeah.
Anton.
I think Barrios versus Rocha would be a really good fight. I know it's cross promotion, it's hard, but like that's the type of fight that would make more sense to me.
You have the chance to make these fights, right? With all of the belts going to be being vacated, right? Just get the organizations to line up. It can go to purse bids, and Golden Boy will lose. And like you can get these fights now if the sanctioning bodies cooperate and don't act ridiculous and put weird guys you've never heard of. Like, what was the name of the guy that Errol Spence fought? It was Spence mandatory for the IBF. He also fought Fundora. What was his name?
Oh God, I know what you're talking about.
Weird guys like that. Like, why would that be your mandatory? Like, don't do that. Put the best guys in the weight class, right? Like,
Did you watch, Gary? Did you watch Oscar De La Hoya's little rant the other day about promoters working together? Like, even though he's been like the black ball of fucking.
Yeah, he's just, they don't want to work with him.
Yeah, he doesn't get it. Like, he's the problem. Everybody else seems to be working together fine. He's like, I own DAZN. So crazy, Oscar.
Gary, let's talk a little bit also, and I will say this: I forgot about Cody Crowley beating Abel Ramos.
Yeah,
I forgot about that win. That's a good win, even though like Crowley has no power. Like that was, it was a close fight, but that's a good name.
Abel Sanchez.
So I'm not
Abel Ramos's career.
I'm not so. I'm not as against the fight as I was at the beginning of the conversation.
I'm not against it. I think it's hilarious. I'm not gonna watch.
We should at least briefly mention before we move on the horrible decision of Jesus Ramos losing his undefeated record to Erickson Lubin. When I think even one of the commentators said like maybe they just mixed up the names like on the cards.
Yes,
because. I mean, everyone, I think, even though the fight wasn't that great because it wasn't that good, not a lot of action for Jesus Ramos Jr., but I thought he clearly won 8 rounds or so.
Yes, especially coming off an injury, which I didn't know also.
Lubin looked like shit too. So, like, and then the fact that the scorecards came in, I'll read them off. We had one scorecard that gave
Every round to Erickson.
9 rounds.
9 rounds.
9 rounds to Erickson Lubin. And the rest gave him one gave him 8 rounds, one gave him 7 rounds.
It's amazing, isn't it? What fight
all
were they
of them
watching?
All of them are bad, but the 9-3 scorecard for Lubin is so egregious to me.
Yeah.
Who handed it? You have the name? Who handed it in? Him or her on blast.
Patricia Jarman.
Patricia Jarman. She's been around for 100 years too. Patricia Jarman, you've been officially put on blast. You can't do this job anymore.
Horrible,
We will
man.
not stand for this bullshit.
And it sucks as you have like losers like Steve Kim going out there and tweeting and deleting, saying like, that's why certain fighters, meaning non-black fighters, shouldn't be a PBC, and that's just ridiculous because
so stupid.
we see this on every promotion. We see bad scorecards on every card, even the local cards we go to. We see bad scorecards all the time, and those are the same judges that we see on the big shows. So, like,
why did Steve Kim just become a troll now? Like, Steve Kim, when he used to do pretty good work, right? Like we were talking about like kind of like the ethnic kind of rivalries in boxing and stuff, and it's cool. Like, I went to Toro Gaddy's last fight ever in Atlantic City when he got knocked out. It was 100% Guidos, nothing else in the building, right? Like, it's cool. But like, then you get people who are just like race obsessed, like Steve Kim and what's Michael Montero, like. I get it, right? Like, okay, the Italian wants to root for the Italian, the Mexican wants to root for the Mexican. Like, I get it, but like, why do you absolutely race obsessed? Like, a Mexican fighter can't fight on PBC. It's like Canelo just won on PBC.
I think
they got the cards right on that one, didn't they?
I think that they threw a little wrench in there
on the same card.
Yeah,
on the same card. Did Charlo win that fight? Did Charlo get the decision?
That was like
ridiculous. Like, I don't understand. Like, why do people have to be like absolutely race obsessed?
They are, and they race bait everything, and they base all of their stuff on that. But I don't think they live in the real world. I don't think, like, I see them at shows, and they're so awkward and so fucking scared of life. Like, honestly, I'm nice to everybody. I see all the refs that are on TV, all the judges. They all know who I am. Like, the commission knows who I am. Like, they're all nice, but he's weird.
Steve Kim or Michael Montero?
Steve Kim. I never met Montero, but like Steve Kim, Dougie Fisher, like they know who I am. I sit right the fuck in front of them, and they're like they have no idea. They just don't live in reality. I don't think they live in their mom's basement. Like,
got to know Steve from a couple of events. Like, he's a nice guy. Like, he's cool to talk to. But you could tell. Like, I don't understand like the race obsession. I don't understand.
It was just like their niche.
How is this the root of everything?
You got to remember their like audience. You have to remember, Gary. Like, there's a huge, sizable audience online that.
So like, he's a troll. He's just being a troll. He's
trolls, racist, whatever you want to call him, right? And it's a big market. Like, you can tap into that. You can tap into the people that listen to Candace Owens, and like the Dave Rubins of the world.
It's Nick Fuentes. It's that type of stuff. Like, how much of a crossover is there between Nick Fuentes fans and boxing heads? Like, how much
online. Of it's purely people online. You have to remember that. It's not boxing heads. Nope. They just want people to follow them because they know they're going to say some wild shit.
And they have tons of clickbait.
Yes, they always
shit that they don't know what they're talking about. Like, they clearly don't live.
And then you get like Dougie.
I know they like love that they live in LA and they're so ethnic because they live in LA. But like, really, stop.
And then you have people like Dougie who wants to be so self-righteous when he's literally owned by a promoter. Like, his entire outlet is owned.
I've never had a problem. I've met him a bunch of times. I sat next to him at the Ryan Garcia and Emmanuel To-Go fight. He sat right next to me. I had no problem with them.
Gary, you don't cause problems anywhere you
Everybody
go.
says that. Gary, I swear. People tell me all the time, like, oh my God, I sat next to that guy. He was so nice. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Gary, you so only sweet. Like rock the boat when you want to interview Eddie Hearn, which I respect. Keep doing
you're
that.
Like Eddie Hearn's size too. Like, dude, I was
intimidating.
Yeah, because I was so scared when I met Eddie Hearn. I was scared. I'm 5 feet. I'm 5 feet.
Did you see the Bam and Sonny Edwards press conference?
Yes.
I'm typically a foot and a half.
They're like, wait, someone else. They stood on top.
Did you see the sweatshirt that Bam was wearing in that press conference?
Oh my Lord. They're adorable. Did you see him playing ping pong?
Stop, guys. Yes.
I hated Sonny so much, and now like, oh, him and Bam are all BFFs. I'm like, oh, it's cute. It's a bromance.
I hope double knockout.
Double knockout. Don't say that about Bam. Jesus.
What's your problem with Bam? Just because I like him? Is that like
Yes, Gary.
No,
yes.
it's because he's Josh Franco's brother.
And you also like Josh Franco, Gary. So like, I have to hate on the brothers. Come on. It's like Tanahara. Like, I don't really hate Tanahara. He seems like a nice guy.
Love
But what's he
Tanahara.
done since he's lost?
Deer in
Nothing.
headlights.
he's got a couple of wins.
That is technically true. Yes.
What else are you gonna say?
I want to quickly round off the rest of the card so we can move on to other topics because we do have some other topics we have to get to. Elijah Garcia, undefeated prospect. He looked good in his win. Fun fight against Jose Resendez. Wasn't he also the one that we know that was trained by
Resendez?
Alvarado and Maywood? Alvarado's dad. Adrian Alvarado's dad.
No.
Didn't we see someone on this card?
We did see. He's with somebody else. No, somebody else we know.
Okay, I forget then who it was. Vajic picked up a win against Isaac Rodriguez. Frank Sanchez picked up a win against Scott Alexander. Terrell Gachet picked up a win against Keandre Leatherwood. And there's some other fights on the card as well. I want to get into, since this is a PBC card, we've been talking about DAZN as well. The whole rumors, and I don't know how true it is because I haven't looked at boxing news like you guys have, of PBC is leaving Showtime and going to Amazon. That's what I'm hearing.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Told me. May or may not be true.
I want to also tap in here that I've seen rumors also that DAZN is leaving the U.S. market as well after this year. I don't know which one is true or if both of them are true
or not.
Or none of them are true. I don't know. This is what I'm hearing. Folks.
Gossip section.
The gossip section.
This is all allegedly, folks.
Allegedly. I want to give my brief thoughts on it, then I'll open the floor to either one of you. I think the end of Showtime boxing, if that is happening, is deeply sad.
So sad.
I think there's obviously been some material issues with the system of boxing once we went to premium cable. I understand that with HBO and Showtime. But like in terms of my era as like watching boxing, growing up in boxing, I grew up in the HBO Showtime era. I didn't know anything before that. So like the end of that era is deeply sad to me. Not only for like all the memories, but plus like I love the Showtime broadcast team. Like I had some issues with the HBO broadcast team as it got along, but it was still good production quality. It's still HBO, you know what I mean? Showtime brought a level of production quality, level of gravitas to a show that honestly I still don't feel in any other network. Whether it was PBC with other networks too, whether it was PBC on Fox or whatever, it didn't feel the same. Whether it's DAZN, ESPN, none of them feel the same as that Showtime telecast. Al Bernstein, I think, is probably the best commentator in the history of boxing. I will probably. Yes, Gary.
No.
Yes. I love Al Bernstein to death. I think Mauro Ranallo is a Hall of Famer. He's done the highest level of every combat sport.
You know he doesn't speak Italian? Mauro Ranallo doesn't speak Italian.
Gary, there's probably a lot of fucking Italian Americans that don't speak Italian.
His name is Mauro Ranallo. And he always goes, Mamma Mia. He was going down the elevator. It was a Charlo fight when Charlo was fighting Dennis Hogan, right? And I was going up the elevator. I saw him, right? I said something just basic to him in Italian, right? And he looked at me like, what? I'm like, really? All right.
Maybe he just didn't hear you,
Melody.
Gary.
No. I said it to him clear as day. Like he looked at me like I don't know what you're saying. Melody, do people assume that you speak Spanish? Do people speak
all the time?
Everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy breezy. I don't ever walk in and someone's like, "Hey, are you from California?"
Look,
no.
Let's stop comparing Italian American migration and immigration to Mexican American immigration. Very different.
I'm just brown. They walk in, they're like, she's a brown girl. She has to know Spanish.
The last time there was a sizable Italian immigration wave was like in the fucking like 20s or something like that, guys. Like, it's not the same, Gary. It's okay. It's okay. I don't expect Irish Americans to speak Gaelic.
They don't speak Gaelic in Ireland in 1,000 years. When was the last time
And
they
that's
spoke Gaelic
because
in
of
Ireland?
England and the damn colonizers, okay? Damn fucking
let's
Brits.
Oh, you know what you forgot to mention on the undercard of Canelo
What?
was after the Canelo fight, we had the pro debut
Oh,
of
Mayweather, yeah.
Mayweather's
opponent.
little
I mean,
protege. What is his name? Kermel Moton? Motion? I can't even read that far. Moton, right?
Carmel Moton or something.
Moton. And he beat the shit out of his opponent. But the post press conference was where everybody was had me rolling. He was talking about pretending he didn't know Inoue's name, saying that
You're talking about Mayweather, not Moen.
yes,
Because Mayweather hijacked
Mayweather.
the press conference.
Yes.
You didn't say that part.
Sorry, he hijacked I'm saying the people that watched it know what the fuck I'm talking about, dude. Floyd took that mic and did not care for that poor
And Joe DeGuardia speaks Italian, by the way.
Oh my fucking
He
god,
also-
Gary.
He also sexually harasses the women in his office, apparently. Allegedly.
Joe DeGuardia.
Oh, so let's
He's got
speaking
more
Italian.
lawsuits than you can.
Let's not use him as the spokesperson for the Italian community,
It's
Gary.
always like the guy with the weird sexual proclivity is always the Italian. The only one we found that wasn't Italian was Anthony Weiner. We found one that wasn't. It's always the Italian, right? Like it's Cuomo, it's Joe. It's always the Italian.
Have you watched?
We told him about it.
No. Have you watched the Anthony Weiner documentary yet?
Oh no, I meant to watch that. I keep forgetting.
Come on,
Gary, you gotta watch
It's
that, man.
hilarious.
I will.
I forget what's on, but I'll find it and send it to you.
Hilarious.
Digressing, guys, because
Okay,
back to
back to
PBC,
PBC,
leaving
leaving Showtime.
God, I was on this like
But
sad moment here, and you just I didn't.
Oh, gives a fucking. Well, it was Gary that was like, he don't speak Italian.
And look, anyways, but wrapping my thoughts real fast. Okay.
Commentators sad.
Sad,
Bye.
yes.
Good day.
Amazon,
good day.
Amazon is a giant monopoly that should be like nationalized or something like it, or broken up. Like antitrust laws should at some point come into Amazon. I don't know how it's still around. I get people love it because like it's a one-stop shop for all. I get that, but it's a fucking horrible institution, and I think it has not done a good service when it comes to the movies and TV side of its entertainment. And to expect it to do really well when it comes to sports, I think is also probably a misunderstanding. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter be happy about this news, and I don't understand why.
Well, if you watched Prime, Amazon, Inoue's fights, they haven't had any issues. You know, in Japan.
Well, yeah, I understand that.
And that's a giant market. That's a lot of money pouring into Amazon. Like, so if that went smooth, I'm sure they're thinking I know they're not the same market, but I know they're probably thinking, okay, once we move into the US, it's not going to be that difficult considering we've already had such major success with Inoue, the real face of boxing.
He's not
fighting on Amazon Prime. Nobody seemed to have a problem there.
I don't know. I don't see it being a good long-term idea. I mean, we're putting the hands of boxing in honestly, especially if the zone goes out of the US market.
Yeah, then it's
honestly boxing will be in the hands of Amazon and the Disney Corporation.
Yeah.
If anyone out there says they trust those two corporations, hey man, I'm not whatever you say, bro. You go ahead and you say they're doing a great job. I just look at what they've done on their streaming platforms, and I think they've dropped the ball time and time again with price increases. So I am very skeptical of this being a long-term solution for boxing, or a long-term home, I should say, for boxing.
For PBC.
It's the home of Thursday night football. Amazon is home of Thursday night football. Why couldn't it be the home of PBC boxing?
It could.
Like I got the Bears game on right now, Amazon Prime. The only thing is, right, they're probably going to increase the price, which sucks for who's ever paying for the account you're watching, right? Like whoever pays for that account that you're watching, whoever account you're logged in on.
But
that's going to suck for that person.
We've also seen like what Netflix has done with passwords and
cutting accounts,
cutting accounts off, right? We don't think Amazon
have they?
Plus.
I don't know. I still don't pay for my Netflix account either. That's my mother-in-law.
There is a limit on the amount of devices you can have, and I think even on Disney Plus there is a limit on the amount of devices you can have logged in as well.
Like we pay for 3.
So I mean, at some point they're going to start restricting this to increase profits, because we know what we have seen when it comes to the numbers from these streaming services. They are not a moneymaker. they're a huge loss for some of these companies. Okay, like Disney is not making money on Disney Plus right now, guys. Like
No,
that's
none of
not
them are. None of these streaming services right now, as of October of 2023, none of them are really making money.
Netflix, which has been around the longest, kind of market standard for a long time. They've been in debt forever. Like I don't see how anyone thinks like we're gonna get this as the next paradigm of boxing on Amazon.
And the
And
Fox News one too. That's not even owned by Fox anymore. They got other investors to buy into because it was losing money. Like
exactly.
these streaming services, as of right now, maybe eventually they'll be profitable. Right now, none of them are.
So I worry about it. You know, in an age of like where like, oh, we're cutting off cable, we're gonna save money and just buy a couple like streaming services. All of a sudden, we're paying $100 for 12 different streaming services, and when we could be paying $65 for cable or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
And we're still paying on top of that pay-per-views. We're still renting
yes,
movies. We're still renting series. Like,
people like,
You think if it goes to Amazon Prime, they're still gonna have pay per views?
yes,
Because that was the one.
yes,
yes.
Then it's a
Have
lose,
to,
right?
honey.
Yeah.
Have to.
I don't see how that shifts. We did it with DAZN. Like we make jokes about it with DAZN, right? Like DAZN, the
They
death of
tried.
pay-per-view, right?
Yeah, and then
DAZN's on how many
DAZN
pay-per-views?
But
Like,
Amazon is many, many times the size of anything Blavnik owns combined. Right? I mean, like Amazon Prime, Amazon is massive. I mean, to
Amazon
them,
itself, yes, is probably bigger than like Warner Music Group, for example, which is probably the biggest entity Len Blavnik has. But I don't know about Prime Video streaming. Like I don't know what that subsidiary does for Amazon, how profitable it is, what its actual market reach is, because we really don't know that for a large part. Is like how many homes are these apps in,
Right.
how many people are watching, all that's hidden.
Yeah.
Like especially Gary, like we talk about how little it is that we getting like pay-per-view numbers nowadays, and how little we get TV numbers, and the lack of information we have as like media members, journalists, whatever you want to call us, right? Like if all of this stuff goes to streaming, we get no access to data. And on top of it, the fighters don't too. When we talk about like the Screen Actors Guild, the Writers
Right.
Guild, their fight, like one of the big things they actually, especially the writers, because they won their thing at least, or at least they're potentially going to win it. One of the things they had to let go of was the releasing of these numbers. So streaming services still have all of their data be private right now. So if you're a fighter and you want to come in and you want to be able to negotiate your market share and your contract, how are you going to do that when you don't know what numbers you're doing? You know,
They're going to give you the numbers on top
we're
of that.
seeing more and more commissions not releasing gate information as well. Like
they have to by law. It's a public information because it's coming from the commission. I don't understand how they get away with this. I truly don't understand.
Gary, the entity doing it is privately owned. It's regulated by the government. So the only thing they would probably have to disclose is what they are physically making. And that would be fiscal like um like a fiscal like balance sheet at the end of the year, right? That they report back to the governor, right? And the state government.
I don't know.
That's
I guess maybe it makes sense. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what these laws are, but I try to get things from the Texas State Commission, and they don't even respond to it. It's like this is against all the freedom of the FEMA the Freedom of Information Act laws. Like
it's not what you would have to one put in a file for that costs money. You know that, right?
Yeah.
FOIA like requests like cost money, which sucks. But again, these are private entities that they're regulating, right? It's like they're not public records. So like if you're a private corporation, you don't have to release any of your numbers to the public. There's no legal there's nothing for that, I think, except for maybe FOIA requests. So if you're a fighter, you're coming into the situation now in the next few years where you may not be able to negotiate properly what you deserve. So a lot of these fighters moving up, I'd be worried because Mayweather, Pacquiao, Canelo, they got to see what they were doing on TV, what pay-per-view numbers that they were doing, all this stuff. I don't think they were going to be able to see that stuff moving forward. And if you're a promoter, maybe you don't as well. Like you're going to have to get that in the contract if you're a PBC. Because Amazon could say you don't have a right to what numbers you're getting.
Yep.
That's very possible. So I'm very concerned about this move. But anyways, I've hogged up the mic. Melody, do you have any thoughts about the idea of PBC leaving Showtime, going to Amazon, the idea of DAZN maybe leaving boxing at the end of the year as well in the U.S. market?
I'm not sure about DAZN. I didn't really hear the rumor on that one, but the rumor of Showtime leaving is sad. It's gonna horribly leave a hole in my heart, just like HBO did. And then, moving to Amazon, the only thing I see is that they had such success with Inoue's fights but it's a different market. It's a different,
It's new way.
it's a new way. It's Japan. But I mean, I want boxing to succeed anywhere. So I can only hope that it works or we get PBC on Fox again, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Gary.
Oh, PBC on Fox would be great because it's free, right? And you can have cards on FS1 and stuff. But like, I'd just my personal preference. I'd rather it be on cable because that's just better for me because I'm old, right? But like, it's all going the way of streaming. So I mean, this is gonna happen eventually anyway. And instead of having CBS, ABC, Disney, you're just gonna have a couple of streaming services that own everything, right? And Netflix, Amazon is obviously making a move here on sports, and they're gonna do what the DAZN wanted to do. I think. I don't think it's a bad fit. I don't. Again, is it long term? That depends on how many subscribers they think it brings in. Like it could be, or they could drop it in a year or two, right? I don't know. That all depends on how many people subscribe to Amazon Prime because of this.
I hate these shifts in boxing.
Yeah, it's rough.
I think it's going to be in a way, Gary. When we talked about years ago, like the bubble in boxing and it like bursting at some point, like I feel like we're in that burst period.
It might be here.
To be quite honest, I feel like the last year or two, when boxing still hasn't fully recovered from COVID or whatever it is we want to say, it's just we're in this new world, and I think we're going to see fewer promoters get that type of shine. I think we're going to see only a couple networks show it, and then we're going to see fighters slowly, I think, get lower purses too because of this. If this is a long-term thing, I think we're going to see certain fighters on the come up, like a Boots, who's not a pay-per-view fighter yet, but will be, like those type of guys. They're going to struggle, I think, trying to get in their contracts proper information to be aware of what they're making, their total value as a fighter and as an event. It's going to be hard.
Why doesn't PBC just get an app, right? Like Al Heyman's got the money for it. Like you get the PBC app for $10 a month, and it's just PBC boxing. Seriously,
they don't have the money anymore. I mean, realistically, they have this.
Al Heyman's got to sit in his glove compartment. You know how much money that guy has? He's got to sit in his back pocket, pony it up. But I'm being serious. But then there's no profits to split. It's all yours, right? And you're getting all boxing. You know how many subscribers you have for boxing because it's all boxing, right? Like in DAZN, if you have a subscription in America, if you have a subscription to DAZN, why do you have it? It ain't for the billiards. It ain't for the darts, right? Like it's for one thing. So like the model is there. Why doesn't Al Heyman just have a boxing app for $10 a month?
It's expensive. We try. Didn't we? We were on this road to doing this, to having an app with the promotion company that we worked for, but it's like still $6 million, and that was to have all the investors to get the person to start working, and then all the stuff we had to put forward. Remember, it was a lot, and it never even got finished. It never was completed. So I think it's probably harder than people think.
Al
Heyman money can do anything,
I think it's just one of those things where why would you put up the bill when you can go to a network and they want to put the bill up for you? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they pay for it.
Yep.
That's the thought process.
Because then you got to deal with this. You got to deal with negotiating contracts. You got to deal with them saying we're not interested. We're not going to renew you. Whereas if you have the app, it's yours.
Yeah, but if you're a big enough promoter, if let's say you lose a TV deal, right? Like you're gonna get another one. We're not talking about Kathy Duva, who all of a sudden just is no longer
Disappears.
it disappears. You know what I mean? Like PBC is a much bigger entity than that. Whether it's Matchroom or Golden Boy or Top Rank, like those four are gonna hang around and be picked up regardless. I think so. I mean, the only one that maybe is gonna be in that mix now, we're talking about like, are they gonna get picked up post DAZN if that happens? Is like a Golden Boy.
If they
Like,
got Ryan Garcia, yes. If they don't, no. I mean, it's really that simple. Ryan Garcia carries the company.
My last two thoughts on this, and then we can move on if we want. If I'm a fighter, this is one of those like reasons why I think about like unionization within combat sports, because you have no collective say in these decisions. Now all of your fights are going to potentially go to a different app. The deal is going to be structured differently, and you have no say in it. You know, and I get Heyman, PBC is doing a unique thing where they're putting a lot of their main eventers as their own promotional company, so they get some of the profit sharing. I think that's a fine little band-aid, but like this is one of those issues where like if you had a fighter union, they can negotiate and say either we want this deal or we don't want this deal, and the promoter can't outright unilaterally make this decision. My other thought is that I think short term, this would be a cash influx probably for PBC, because Amazon, I think, is if they do this, will throw a lot of money at it because it's Amazon. They have a lot of money to throw at anything. But I do wonder about that drop off, like you say, Gary, because PBC has great fighters, but all the great fights are mostly co-promotions.
Yeah.
And we're talking about exclusive deals maybe, and that always restricts the potentialities of co-promotion fights. So a worry. Any more thoughts on this before we move on?
No, we can move on.
Okay, brief mention of the fights this weekend on DAZN. Manchester, England, Lee Wood versus Josh Warrington for Wood's WBA title. Terry Harper, Cecilia Brækhus, obviously rescheduled from about a month or two ago, I think exactly. Also on DAZN in Vegas that same day, Gervonta Ramirez versus Joe Smith Jr. It's a fight. It's a fight,
It's a fun fight. It's gonna be ending a knockout. It ain't going the distance.
Also in just on televised fights for us in the U.S., but same day, one in Canada, one in Tokyo, both title fights. Evelyn Bermudez versus Kim Clavel for Bermudez IBF and WBO junior flyweight title, and then Patachme CP Freshmart versus Yodai Shigoka. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
He did.
For the WBC strawweight title as well
in Tokyo,
in Japan. We're not going to see those fights, but hey, they're there. So if they're international and you have access, I guess, watch those fights. I'm excited for the Wood Warrington fight. That should be fun.
Harper's excited for both main events. I think both main events are good fights.
I feel like Brækhus is about to be retired, and it's going to be sad.
She's past it.
I love Lady.
Any thoughts on the fights before we head out of here?
Warrington and Wood. Rob thinks Wood stops him. I can't see that at all. What do you think? I think Warrington.
Possible. Yeah, I think it's possible. I'm going for Wood.
Wood's going to win.
Yeah.
A late stoppage is possible. Warrington's been in a lot of like dog fights.
Mm-hmm.
I think we forget about that too.
Tore up.
Yeah.
Wood's old, and you know who beat Wood? Jazza Dickens.
One time, Gary was like,
he lost to Jazza Dickens, bro. He was getting, and he came back and he knocked out Shanzhou in the 12th round. Kudos to him. He was losing that fight when he got a 12th round knockout. 12th, right? It was both 12th, and then he was losing to Mick Conlon, bro. Like I get, he's getting these dramatic knockouts, so full credit. But like, do you really think he's got like another one? Like he's going to be losing every round to Josh Warrington and then get a 12th round knockout again to save the day?
Yeah.
It's possible. I wouldn't keep betting on this.
10th round.
Yeah, that's 12. Come on. 10th. Let's not be crazy here. I think that might be it. Any other news that we should get to? Any other topics?
Fury and Usyk signed a 2-fight deal.
Oh, yes.
I'll believe it when it happens. I get it signed, but there's no date. The IBF said that they're gonna call their minutes right after the first fight. So the second fight, unless something is worked out, would not be for Undisputed.
Yeah, I'm a little bit skeptical of it still.
Yeah.
I know it's said sign, but it's
tough.
Fury, man. It's hard to think anything that he's doing is legit.
Yeah, he talks so much shit.
And it's like, well, imagine like Francis Ngannou knocks him out in like a month.
Then how's he gonna fight?
You know what I mean? Like, I know that's not gonna happen, but like imagine if it did. It'd be hilarious.
When he goes on a bender after the fight and he disappears.
You know, we keep saying he's gonna go on a bender, and he's
waiting.
not.
I know. I've been waiting for his benders. They're the craziest. I get the best memes, the best videos. Tyson, go on a bender.
Or go get caught like flirting with another girl, so your wife gets mad at you.
Yeah.
Like
or wear those shorts where your like double butt hangs out. You know, do a lot of coke and like talk about Jesus. Like do something crazy.
When I was at the Canelo Billy Joe Saunders fight, Cowboy Stadium at the weigh-in, right? I'm in the media section. They're telling me Tyson Fury is here. I'm looking at the stage. I'm like, he's a 6'9" dude. Like, how am I not seeing him? Like, where is he? Like, no, he's in the crowd. He's in the crowd, drunk as a skunk, no shirt on. It's like, you're Tyson Fury. Get your life together, bro. Get yourself together.
This is his together, Gary. That's what this is.
On, drunk. Get your life together, Melody.
What are you
doing with no shirt on?
A couple housekeeping things before we head out of here. I had 2 articles published this week. People's World, yes, on the LA Tenants Union rally in March. That was attacked by the LAPD. Yeah, that was crazy. Check out my video on my social media at MattHunterMCR to see that. Because having LAPD attack you and other people in your community, not a fun day. My ankle is kind of so messed up from it. Fuck you, police. But check out that article, peoplesworld.org, LA Tenants Union, stop gentrifying Los Angeles. And then another article on Mount Tai Press and Marxist-Leninist Reading Hub on the United Front and what that is. Very good articles. Check them out if I do say so myself. I do have an article like half done on Canelo Alvarez. So I'm going to also dive more into like, is he really thinking of boxing? You know, maybe compare some numbers and stuff like that, like trajectory, you know, see what it is. But yeah, that's about it.
And that will be published on
the beautyofboxing.com.
And I'm hoping, since we have been on some more fights, and I do have a couple of things to post from different PR people that have sent me over, you know, stuff about Garcia boxing, local boxing here in the why are you bringing that dog in the frame? Gary, we have a guest.
It's my sister's dog.
So it's a boy or girl?
Boy, his name is Bronson.
All dogs are boys. All cats are girls. I know that's not possible, but it's true.
Girl, cat, boy, dog.
We did, yes.
Yeah. But anywho of the matter, yes. So we're gonna get some more stuff up on the website, and also this was the last week, guys, for OnlyFans for the Beauty of Boxing. We have closed that chapter, and it is over. So if you missed it, you missed it. And no more of that going on. But we do have the website that we are going to continue pushing. And go ahead and visit Instagram, X, Facebook, beautyofboxing.com.
Gary.
Find me all from social media, 3D Boxing blog. Subscribe to both my YouTube channel, Texas Boxing Scene, completely dedicated to Texas boxing, and my updated channel, 3D Boxing blog on YouTube. I will show you how to bring down the house. We'll make money together. All 3 of these fights, I did 3 fights this week. I'm going to show you how to make money in every one of them. That's 3D Boxing. That's 3D Boxing blog on YouTube. Follow and subscribe to that channel, and I'll show you how to bring down the house. It is October 5th, 2023. Texas is still not a country. Let's make Texas a country again. From Texas to the world, thank you, and God bless.
I want to remind everyone that, I don't know if I said this or not, me and Gary next month debate on should Texas be its own country.
Oh, goodness.
It's gonna be fun.
People stay-
It's gonna be a fun one. I can't wait. I'm gonna do some reading. Great. But anyways, yes, like button, share the show, all that fun stuff. Texas Boxing, 3D Boxing Blog, The Beauty of Boxing, People's World, all that fun stuff. You know where to find all of our work. Have a good night, good evening. And remember, fuck the police and free Palestine. Have a good one. Ow, dog. Bye.